We're also seeing this trend of people starting later in life. And so I see more patients than ever who are over the age of 40. More women over 40 are doing IVF than ever before, and especially women over 45. And wait for it, 50. So the milestones that they're reaching in terms of when they graduate college, when they finish graduate school, when they buy their first house, when they get married, when they pay off their loans, then everyone's like, and now I'm ready for a baby. But your ovaries are like, I was waiting for this day.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Jensen. I am co founder and co CEO of Hue and Grace. So, this week is National Infertility Awareness Week. I'm actually going live today with Dr. Amy. She is also known as Egg Whisperer.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me on. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, thank you for coming on. With it being National Infertility Awareness Week, you are so respected in your fields. Our advocates and people who know Hue and Grace, we really work on promoting hormonal health holistically through skincare, wellness, and healthcare. But I would love for you to give kind of your bio for people who have not, who do not know who the wonderful Egg Whisperer is.
Aw, thank you. I mean, I'm basically a baby maker and a love bringer into your lifer. So I'm just someone that is hoping that through helping people become parents, I'm making this world a better place. Because you and I both know there's nothing better than families that want children um and with what's going on right now, everywhere you look, you see so much, you know, war, hatred, and I just I'm trying to do my part in the world. And I feel like the best thing I can do is bring as much love into it as possible. And having babies is one of the best ways of feeling love. It's one of the most incredible loves that you can ever experience. So, long story short, that's what I do. I'm a fertility doctor that's super passionate about fertility education. And I really want women, people just to know their diagnosis, know what their treatment options are. And I want to prevent the tears that people get when they say, I wish I had known this sooner. So I'm just so glad that you came into my life, that Hue and Grace is here because I love your products. And, that's why we're here also, because this is also a passion project for you. So I'm just so glad that I get to talk about how much your products mean to me. I use them every night. My kids, we use them as lotion. I use your soap. It's my face soap. We use the cleaning products in the bathroom and around the kitchen. So just thank you for all you're doing as well.
So, for those who don't know our story, my husband and I struggled with unexplained infertility for 14 years and could never get pregnant. I think it was after my sixth round of IVS, the doctor said, what skincare products are you using? What chemicals do you spray around the house? And I didn't fully realize during all my IVF rounds, I was rubbing a hormone cream on my leg, getting my blood levels tested the next day, and my hormones had spiked. Not like putting two and two together, like, oh, everything extra my body
Right.
impacts my hormones. I love the fact that you, first of all, are very compassionate. You've worked with some really high profile people who have not been able to get pregnant in the past, and they journey all the way up to you and make that, because education and awareness is so much. I wish I would have known what I know now 20 years ago.
Right.
With it being National Fertility Awareness Week, how have you seen trends move the past few years? And when Ben and I were going through our infertility struggle, and we were so private for so long, what you're going through. But what trends are you seeing?
So that's one trend. As people are more public, they're more open. They're more prone to share their journeys with family members and friends. So that's a huge thing. And also publicly on social media. And I think that's a great way of building some support, finding your community, even if you do it anonymously. So I think that's number one. Number two, more people are freezing their eggs than ever before. And egg freezing is now not just about not finding a man. It's not about the man for us as women. It's about wanting to be a mother and also giving yourself options. And however you want to do it, that's fine. So things are changing a lot there. Number three, the concept that IVF is not just for people who have infertility, but using it as a way for people who are coupled or independent to also preserve their fertility. So there are some people who get married, let's say at 32, and they're not ready to have babies and they don't want to do it until they're 37 or 38. They're actually using IVF as a way to preserve their fertility. So that's a trend that we're seeing. We're also seeing this trend of people starting later in life. So the milestones that they're reaching in terms of when they graduate college, when they finish graduate school, when they buy their first house, when they get married, when they pay off their loans, then everyone's like, and now I'm ready for a baby. But your ovaries are like, I was waiting for this day, you know? And so I see more patients than ever who are over the age of 40, especially over the age of 45. So that's another trend. So more women over 40 are doing IVF than ever before, and especially women over 45. And wait for it, 50.
Well,
I have more patients over 50 in my practice now than I ever had before. And I started my practice at 32, and
that's
here
10
I am
years ago, 10
10,
years ago.
10 years ago. And here I am. My birthday is actually this week, and I joke and say National Infertility Awareness Week was created around my birthday because it's during my birthday week every year. And yeah, so like I'm 48 and I see so many women who are my age trying to have a baby. And I'm like, I would love to help you. And I can relate to them. They have energy. They want to be a mom and they feel really good about themselves. And they don't feel like there's anything wrong with doing it at 48. So I have my ways of counseling women who want to have a baby because sometimes they come to me, and I'm sure you've seen these celebrity stories as well. They come to me thinking that I have this amazing power to turn 48-year-old eggs into 21-year-old eggs. And maybe one day I will. But right now, we don't. So we talk about creative family building, and there's so many amazing ways of building your family. Last trend, and there's still maybe two more, but I'll go really fast. Last trend is, well, I'll just say this last one is surrogacy. We're seeing more people, especially women over 45, as they're trying to grow their families. They're doing it through surrogacy. So that's another trend that we're seeing is more surrogacy journeys are happening now in this country than I've ever seen before.
Egg quality is hard to improve sometimes. So are they using egg donors? Are they able to get pregnant without fertility treatments? Like what advice are you giving these people?
I mean, I would say just do a very gentle reality check with yourself. Even though you're feeling amazing on the outside, your ovary and the egg cell is the fastest aging organ basically in our bodies. Okay. And so just because your desire, this is what I say all the time, just because our desire to have a baby hasn't run out, that doesn't it coincide with when our eggs run out. And that's really hard. So I just tell people to be gentle with themselves, talk to a doctor who will believe in them if that's what they need. And there's nothing wrong with trying. I mean, I've done IVF with her own eggs on a woman as old as 51. That was her priority. Who am I to say no? If you have an egg and you want a chance and you want to experience that, I won't say no to you, right? But at the same time, we go into it saying, I don't expect this to work. It's important for me to do this because this is part of my journey. I need to experience this for myself. I understand you, Amy. I hear you. And Amy, you might think I'm a little crazy. And I'm like, no, we're both crazy because I'm here helping you. You have to promise me we're going to go on CNN and like scream it at the top of our lungs together if this does work. Yeah. So my advice is just take good care of yourself. Don't allow this journey to rob you of your joy and try and do whatever you can to be a young parent. So don't spend your 40s, trying to do 20 IVF cycles so you can end up having a baby at 50. I tell people give yourself like 6 months. Say over the next 6 months, I'm going to do 2 or 3 IVF cycles. And if I can't get a blast, and if I can't get a blast that passes genetic screening, I'm going to start thinking about other options and then definitely work with the fertility therapist because they're there for you, literally there. And they'll be there with you the entire journey. Don't work with them at the end of the journey when things aren't going well. Start working with them from the very beginning. Make them a part of your journey so that as you're going through these highs and lows, ups and downs, they are there to kind of lift you up and to prevent you from spiraling. This journey can make a perfectly sane person feel insane at times. And there's so many things I've learned from patients. And I've had patients say to me, okay, now I need to figure out what I'm going to do to stay sane for the next 2 weeks as I wait for the genetic results. And I'm like, you're right. I need to teach people how to cope and how to make sure that they stay sane for the next 2 weeks. And one of the ways you do that is talking to your therapist.
Yes, and we did I think 6 rounds, and and for me, my body would take longer and longer to hit the numbers. So I have to go to the shots more and more days with every single round. And so I think even the hormone spike My husband, we knew each other for about 10, we dated for like 4 years on and off prior to getting married. And then I think we finally started our fertility treatments 6 years into the process. But Ben tells people, I'm thankful that I knew my wife for so long because when you're on these hormone shots, your personality changes. And also you're such an emotional state and you're not feeling like yourself.
Yeah. I tell people, look, I'm feeling a little spicy right now. Spice never killed anybody. You drink a little water, it goes away. So that's the experience of being an IVF patient. You're just feeling a little spicy, a little snarky, a little sassy, but you have grit and you're resilient. And that's why you're doing this. And it's so worth it.
You were so instrumental, this more holistic way because you are coaching people with nutrition, with really mindfulness. I think that's being so much more talked
Yeah.
about now. Giving yourself grace. Then also knowing your journey. I have a good friend. She was able to get pregnant naturally. They ended up having to eventually do embryo adoption.
Mhm.
And she actually looks back at her journey. And she was telling me, she goes, the daughter who was our embryo adopted daughter, she goes, she looks more like me. She acts more like me
Yeah.
between the two genetics or between our two children. And even us looking back and saying like, it took us 14 years. And my sister and sister-in-law were incredible and volunteered to be our gestational surrogates. But I think when you get to the end of it and looking back, you're like, oh, everything happened the way it was
To be.
the
Yeah.
people we met and what the empathy we have for people and the
Right.
mission that we now have. I think one of the yeah, we went through a lot of acupuncture, a lot of therapy along the way. And I remember the thing that really helped me most, I think we were 8 years into the process, and my husband looked at me and said, Sarah, are we only going to be parents of our genetic children that you give birth to, or are we going to be parents? And it would 8 years probably to get in there. If you had you asked me month two, I would have been like, no, we're
Right.
but
Right.
I said, wait, I said, we're your parents. And all of a sudden a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders because
Mhm.
then the clock wasn't ticking as fast. I think the beauty is there's so many more ways now to have kids. And
Right.
if being parents, there's been no other way or no other time in history where there's more options to be parents.
Yeah. I agree. Couldn't agree more.
What so National Fertility Awareness Week. If someone's on here and they're struggling and they don't know where to go or what to do, what would be your guidance for them?
My guidance, if you're struggling, is go right to a fertility specialist. That's my guidance. I think it's a myth, and people believe that they have to get a referral from an OBGYN. And, sometimes it goes well, and the OBGYN is very well intentioned and helps you right along your path. Other times you might get stuck with, again, a well intentioned OBGYN who does things like prescribes Clomid for a year without a semen analysis or a tube test or a single ultrasound. So that's why I created my Tushy method. So, Tushy method are the 5 diagnostic tests that you need to do to get to a fertility diagnosis. And this is to remind people that getting a diagnosis should not be complicated, it should be very simple. And they're the 5 tests, and you can do them all in a menstrual cycle. So you can go to your OB/GYN and say, "Can you check my tushy?" They'll probably have no idea what you're talking about. Most fertility doctors do because they've heard their patients talking about it through the stuff that I do. But yeah, getting to a fertility doctor, we have the technology in the office to do all the things that you need to check your tubes, look at your uterus, do a semen analysis, check your hormones, review your genetic results, and then you can come up with a plan. And then you go through the 3 questions that I teach everyone. What do you want? What is it going to take? And are you willing to do it? And then you have to refine your answers. And that's how you pre plan your ultimate plan. And you're not going to know what is it going to take to get what I want unless you know the diagnosis, right? So if like you haven't done a single fertility test, you can't say, well, I'm never going to do IVF. But what if you have a diagnosis that requires you to do IVF, like a husband that or partner, a male partner that has no sperm and it needs to be extracted from the testicle? Well, you need to do IVF. Well, if your tubes are blocked, well, you need to do IVF. So, my recommendation is keep a very open mind as you go in and think about this as a spiritual journey. You're learning about your body, love yourself, love your partner, and find ways to build humor into the experience as well. I have lots of jokes. I'm always refining them and I practice them on my patients. And I'm not that funny, but they tend to laugh. I feel sorry. I mean, sometimes I feel like they have to laugh at the jokes that I share. My patients are way more creative than I am. So they make me laugh too as they come up with these little things.
So it was my husband's sister volunteered to be our first surrogate, and they live in Tucson. We're in Los Angeles, and they um, would joke. So her husband is incredible, and he'd go to work, and they would joke, and his coworkers would be like, "Well, at least my wife's not knocked up with her brother's baby," like. So
Nice. That's funny.
there's humor
Yeah,
and things like that.
definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
I want to credit you for several things, but one of the things that we launched, this is something that's so deep to our hearts and that we're going to actually keep on forever. But
Right.
you came to us and said, when people are trying to get pregnant, men come in the office and they say, my partner is going through all of these hormone shots and things, what can I do? And
Right.
so like was the thing especially, can you talk to this? So to increase male semen quality, it's so much easier than increasing egg quality. And so we actually created, we're calling it Glow and Grow. And
Yeah.
this set is good for men, good for women, good for anybody, but especially when you're trying to get pregnant.
And I agree. You literally glow. I mean, I feel like I get withdrawals when I see and I call you. I'm like, Sarah, I need another body, please. And my kids love it. Like the entire family loves it. And we use it. And, you can use it on your face. You can use it on your hair, on your scalp. The oils are just awesome. Those are my favorite. And same with the soap.
Thank you. So could you talk about the importance of the products that men use while they're trying to conceive also?
We know that there are endocrine disruptors everywhere we look and everywhere that, it's hard to avoid them. And so I think a lot of times the guys are left out of the discussion because we are the ones that drive the conversations, that make the appointments. And oftentimes we're blamed for everything, especially when we're over 40. And so I think most women over 40 are partnered with men over 40 as well. And so they need to be just as conscientious about the products they use, the environmental toxins around them. And that also includes things like nicotine, marijuana, heavy smoking. But yeah, that's one way that you can decrease your toxin load is by paying attention to the products that you use. So using BP, your products, that's one strategy that could potentially help. The problem is the things that we're exposed to them for years, right? And so the sooner you make the change, the better.
I agree. There's some key hormonal developmental times. And so even teenagers, kids,
Yeah.
we try to design everything so it's safe for everyone. But
Right.
I think especially people start paying attention to when they're trying to conceive, but even pre-conception, because that's when you're increasing your quality of sperm,
Right.
eggs. I mean, I wish I would have known because here I was an ultra marathoner. The doctor said running chicken doesn't lay the eggs. I stopped running. I was doing acupuncture.
Wait, what did they
Without
say to you? The fried
Well,
chicken?
the running
The
chicken doesn't
run
lay the eggs. Farrah is running 100 plus miles a week, so it probably
Yeah.
wasn't great. But you hear these folklores, you're having sex and your legs are in the air for a half hour.
Or you're doing upside down jumping jacks.
Yes, yeah.
Trying to keep this.
So,
You probably could have done that as an ultramarathon.
whatever control you can have, I just want to control. You can control to a point like what's in your environment. You can't control the products you're putting on your body, in your body, but then having also great access to qualified information. I do like what you said. Just it's your journey. You're giving yourself grace, not and knowing that people are. And I think that because I felt so alone for so much of it, that you're not alone,
Right.
and that there are more people now. Whether it's private, we said private Facebook group, or I think I used to search like #TTC, and back in the day there were like I don't know 2,000 posts, and now there's
Right.
2 million.
Right.
Just to have that.
Right.
Well, Dr. Amy, I want to be cognizant of your time.
Well,
I so appreciate you, especially coming on here. Love the work you're doing. What you do brings so much joy to so many people. And just even, I don't know, just you bring hope, you bring compassion, and you bring something that this industry desperately needs. So really proud and honored to be partnering with you.
thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for creating this partnership.
All
You're
right.
awesome.
We,
Thank
okay.
See you soon. Okay, bye.